Smile when your heart is aching. Smile even though it's breaking. When there are clouds in the sky. So I created Paper Cut in 2009-10. So actually the show is 13 years old. The inspiration, well, I was very much inspired by the films of Hitchcock and also later films such as Woody Allen. But I think I was really inspired by the black and white cinema of the 40s and 50s, and by these horror films of Hitchcock that I started seeing when I was quite young, too young, and by the language of cinema in general. I was very interested in how I could bring this kind of medium, but in low tech, in theater. And the inspiration also, honestly, it's also from my personal life. So I think it was my own challenges, struggles, voyage, victory with love, with relationships, with the unattainable, the impossible, and yes, and finding myself again after heartbreak. Yeah, that's the inspiration. Well, I think this puppet technique actually chose me. It's just something that happened kind of against all odds, like many things in my life. But I wanted to make a big show with many actors, with like cinema, but in low tech, with changing scenery. And I had just finished school. I was very young. I was 26. And I didn't have the money. I didn't have a space. I couldn't pay the actors. And I had been collecting all these black and white books, and I'd started cutting them out and playing, but it was just supposed to be like a model so I could get the funding to make the real show. But yes, it became the show. Paper Cut was made kind of between the kitchen and the living room with a very understanding flatmate. Yeah, the rest is history. But I think that happens to us very often as artists. Our biggest opportunities are the limitations that we face, and if we find a creative way to work with them. Paper Cut, we've just hit 30 countries. It's just been, and it's still an ongoing wild adventure, touring mostly all over Europe and in the US. I got to perform, for example, in India also, and in Thailand. One of the great things about this show is that I can also travel with my team, someone for light and someone for sound. So I get to travel many times with close friends, and I get to meet people from all different cultures, see inspiring creations. So in this way, Paper Cut and also my other shows are a very big gift. I don't know how many shows I stopped counting, like at 500. Yeah, it's a lot, but I honestly, I never get tired of this show. On the contrary, like every evening, I do it. It's a new experience because the audience is always different, the place is different. It's also how I learned French, because I have a version in French, I have a version in Italian, and then the original version in English. But I think that also the language is, it's a very musical and a very visual show. So I've had people even that don't speak English see the show, and I think it's very clear what's happened. It touches you on another visual and emotional level, I think. The awards I've won for Paper Cut are the UNIMA Diploma of Distinction, that's the World Puppetry Organization, the Grand Prix at the International Festival of Solo Shows in Łódź in Poland, the Grand Prix for a solo show at the New York Fringe Festival, and I also won an award in Hungary. That was the first time I performed in Hungary, and I won the Best Conception and Realization at the International Adult Festival. I think the message would be to never give up. Never give up on your dreams. Never give up on your heart. never give up on love. I think my character sings it in a certain moment in the Charlie Chaplin song, smile when your heart is aching, smile even though it's breaking. When there are clouds in the sky, you'll get by. If you smile through your fear and sorrow, smile and maybe tomorrow you'll see a sunlight shining through. For you just smile. Yeah. I think I've had to say that to myself, and I still have to say that to myself, a lot. I think it's a story about someone who is looking for love outside, and she finds a lot of trouble and disappointment. And I think at the end, it brings her back to herself. And yeah, thank you very much. Smile when your heart is aching. Smile even though it's breaking. When there are clouds in the sky, you'll get by.